All right, guys, I get a lot of questions about the differences between the Minelab Equinox 600 and 800. And so today's video is going to be a side-by-side comparison. I have both machines, and we're going to go through each Equinox side-by-side, menu by menu, to show you the differences. You guys ready? The video starts right now. All right, guys, before we get into the menu system and walking through each of the 600, 800 by, menu by menu, I want to talk about some of the charging options here that you get with the 600 and the 800. The charging option is pretty much the same. It comes with this magnetized charging cord, and it goes on the back of the Equinox right here. You see how it's kind of shaped or molded? It basically slips on and goes right into place. It's all magnetized, so it should have no problem going on there. And then you plug in one end's a USB, and once you plug it in, on the front of the Equinox, you should see the green light blinking, and that's indicating you have a charge going on. Now, when that green light goes solid, that means your Equinox is fully charged. It is no different on the 800 as well as the 600. They're both the same procedure. Now, you'll notice with the 600, if you purchase the 600, it comes with a pair of wired headphones. The 800, and we'll go over that, the difference between the headphones. But the 600 comes with wired, so you're going to need to plug in this jack into the back of your Equinox 600, and by unscrewing this little rubber port here, rubber screw cap. Once that comes off, your headphones should plug right in there, just like that. And now you're ready to go. To take them out, just reverse the step, pull these out, make sure you put this back in. You want to make sure this thing is back in and screwed in tight. All right, guys, one thing also to point out that I wanted to show you with the differences between both machines. You have the 600 on the left and the 800 on the right. You can tell the 800 is my machine. It's a little dirtier than, and it also has the Detect Edge shaft. It's a carbon fiber shaft that is a lot lighter than the stock shaft that comes with the 6 or 800. So it's just an additional option you can choose to go with if you want. I really like the carbon fiber shaft, but it's something that isn't for everybody. Some people don't like this thing. I really like it a lot. So if you're interested, I'll put a link in the description where you can get it. The 600 comes with a pair of wired headphones, as you're seeing here, but the 800 comes with the low latency Bluetooth headphones that you're seeing right here. Now, the 800, I will tell you up front, the 800 headphones are super comfortable. I like them a lot. And these are two. I prefer wireless over wired. So it's just a preference of yours. There is a price difference, obviously, in the two versions of the Equinox, and we're going to get into all the differences in the menu systems and so forth. But there you go for the headphone options: Bluetooth or wired. 600 wired, and the Bluetooth low latency headphones is going to be for the 800. By default, you get a 11-inch double D coil on both the 600 and the 800. Now, there are additional coil options you can purchase now from Minelab. They make a 15-inch coil and a 6-inch coil, as well as these new Coil Tech coils for the Equinox are pretty cool. There's a 14x9, a 10x5, and a 15-inch also for the Equinox. So you have options with your coils. But by default, on the 800 and 600, you get the standard 11-inch double D coil. All right, guys, let's look at the control boxes and see if there's any physical differences in the buttons, on the sides, and the buttons below, and so forth. Now you'll notice right up front, just bear with me, I have the Dutch version of the screen protector on because I could not find the English version in the box that I had. So my 800 has the English version, so that's what you would see if you're looking at this for English. There was a pack full of all kinds of languages in there in case your language is not English. There should be a language in there for you to slap on your Equinox, and for your preference, whatever you want it to be. For this one, I picked Dutch because it's the closest to English that I have in the pack, so it will be the same regardless. But I just want to point that out because somebody's going to notice it and going, "Hey, what is that? What is that language?" All right, so let's take a look at the control boxes. So, for instance, on the 600, you have the power button. On the 800, you have a power button. It's the same. On the 600, you have the backlight display button. You have a backlight display button on the 800. There is a difference. Let me show you. Let's power them up. Alright, guys, I had to power up the machine and turn down the volume because they're going bonkers having both of the coils next to each other. So bear with me here. This is just for display purposes only. But back to the backlight display, you have the button here and you have the button here on the 800 as well. For the 600, it's either on or off. That button only turns it on one brightness and off. The 800 has a little bit more of more features to it. You can actually dim it, turn it off, turn it off. There's bright, there's medium bright, there's low bright, and then there's off. So I like to have mine bright. For the 600, you're only going to have bright as an option. Now, moving on, you notice you have a wireless button up here. You also have the same thing over here. The wireless capability is built in both machines, so you can still use wireless headphones if you so choose. That does not take away from the Equinox 600 because you still have that ability. The difference is the 800 comes with the wireless set of headphones already ready to go, and you just have to pair them up with the machine. So that's the only difference for that button. Now you also notice on the 800 you have this extra button on the right hand side where you don't have that for the 600. This is your extra search profile that you can configure and save off. The 600 does not give you that option. That's one of the things you don't get with the 600. I find this search option very handy. Search profile very handy because let's say for instance I'm hunting in Park 1, but I want to try my relic program that's customizable, and so I just saved it off into this button, and all I got to do is push it once to reference back to the search profile that I choose for my custom program, and then one button back to get back to my Park 1. So it's a nice back-to-back comparison of using programs. And if you want to know more about that, there's a video I put out, a micro session that I'll link in the description of the video. Alright guys, so you'll notice my machine acting really weird on the right hand side. It's because I'm right over top of the coil on the other one, and the machine is on, so it's going to react differently. I've turned the sensitivity way down just so you won't hear all the crazy commotion going on, but there's a lot of commotion behind the scenes going on right now with these two machines. They're like, what the heck is going on? I want to continue with the menu system. So we went through the buttons and showed you the differences, the key differences in the buttons on the sides. Now I want to show you the menus and what you have inside the box itself, control box, that's available to you both in the 600 and 800. So let's start with search profiles. So your search profile button is right here. It looks like a coil. Same thing on the 800, no difference. For the 600, you have Park 1, which is what I'm in right now, Park 2, Field 1, Field 2, and then Beach 1, Beach 2. and that's what you get. You get six profiles to actually pick from. On the 800, it's a little different. You're going to get Park 1, Park 2, Field 1, Field 2. You're going to get Beach 1, Beach 2, and in the 800, you also get Gold 1 and Gold 2. So you have 8 profiles to search from, or to pick from. Let's talk about the horseshoe on the screen. The horseshoe on the screen basically switches you in all metal mode. Either you're in all metal mode or you're not by pushing that button. Same applies for the Equinox. All metal or not. Now let's talk about frequencies. You'll notice that right now each machine is set up by default to be in multi-frequency. You'll see that word multi-frequency. Each search profile right now uses multi-frequency or multi-IQ technology. If you don't believe me, then just cycle through the programs. Each one of these is set up for multi. Nothing's changed yet. Same applies to the 800. Every program is set up for multi by default. You can change that to be a single frequency. This is the beauty of the Equinox. It is versatile. You can change the single frequencies, but what are the key differences in the frequencies? Well, it's very simple to find out. This is going to be a frequency button to change. Keep that in mind. So let's cycle through the frequencies. If you wanted to pick 5 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz, 15. Now there is one frequency in here that I don't have that I should have, and that is 4 kilohertz. But I have not updated this machine yet, and once the updates are complete, then it gives me the Equinox 600 also has 4 kilohertz to use as well. But right now, for demonstrations on this machine, I have 5, 10, 15, and that's it. But I should have 4. So there should be 4 frequencies for the 600. Now on the 800, you have between 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, and 40. So pretty big difference in frequency allocations for between the 600 and the 800. Now both machines have a pinpoint function, and that's by clicking this button right here. That puts you in pinpoint mode. Same holds true for the 800. Nothing different there. Alright, the other buttons we'll talk about are pretty much the same on each one. You have your minus and plus buttons, they're the same on Equinox. This is your gear button. This puts you into the secondary menu on here. Same thing happens with the 800. The accept reject button is the same, holds the same functionality. Alright guys, let's get into the secondary menu system. To access the secondary menu, all you do on each machine is you hit the gear button. It puts you into your secondary menu, and you'll see it here underneath. Now again, I'm in Dutch, so you're not going to be able to read that, but over here, if you pay attention to the right hand side, that's in English. Right now we are in noise cancel. This is where you want to eliminate some of the EMI that exists around you. You always should noise cancel after you get ready, or once you get ready to start hunting. You should lift your coil horizontally at your waist level and then hit the accept reject button, and then that goes through the process of noise canceling. And we're just doing this as a demonstration for compare and contrast, but it's the same functionality on each machine. So to get to the next menu over to the right, you just hit the gear button again. That puts us into ground balance. Now here you have a couple different options for ground balance. For the 600, you have your, if you hold down the plus or the accept reject button and shake the coil up and down, you will manually ground balance. Or if you push it again, you'll get this little icon that shows up here in the upper right. That shows you are in tracking mode. Same thing goes for the 800. We go into the ground balance menu. If you hold this button down, it goes into automatically manually ground balancing, shaking the coil up and down, or hit the button one more time and now you're in tracking mode. No difference there, same functionality. Let's go to the next button. This is going to be your threshold, or I'm sorry, your volume adjust. On this one, you can raise your volume up and down by hitting the plus and minus buttons. Same thing applies to the 800, up and down. We're going to keep them down for now because we don't want to hear all the chatter going on. The next option under your menu is your threshold level, and this is the same for each machine. You can raise a threshold value up 1 to 25, I believe. I think it's the same on the 600. Yep. So that's if you wanted to create a threshold to listen to as a background. I don't particularly do that, but some people do like the threshold, so we're gonna leave that at 0 for now. Let's move on over to target tone. Now this is where you might have some differences. Target tone. Right now, in this particular Park 1 program, both search profiles are set up in target tones of 5. You can change this by using your plus and minus buttons. You can change it to 50 tones. You can change it to back to 5. For the Equinox 800, it's 50. And again, 5. No difference there. Alright guys, the next menu item is going to be accept reject. Now, for default purposes, both machines are set up to reject -9 all the way up to 1. Let's say we wanted to add in one of those notches. We can easily do that by saying, well, if I wanted to include -9, all I got to do is hit the accept reject button. That fills in that box. So you see over here, same thing applies over here. Now, if I wanted to go to -8, I just hit the plus arrow or plus key. If I want to accept that, I hit the accept reject. So you see how simple it is. You can scroll up through. Let's say you want to take some of these away. Let's say we don't want to get anything that hits on 9. We can take that block out. Maybe want to keep 10, but want to get rid of 11. Take that block out, and so forth. The same functionality applies for the accept reject button. To remove them or to go backwards and change them, you do the same thing. Just hit the minus key, move back to where you were, and then hit the accept reject button. So I'm going to take these all out that I put in just to show you for an example. And we'll go over here and we'll go back to make it back to standard default here. Okay, that's the accept reject button. Pretty straightforward. Now you'll notice that there's no more options to go through on your menu, and so one might think that we're done, but maybe not. And if you want to get back to your main menu or main window, you hit the coil button. That puts you back to the main screen, the huntable screen. But you're really not over. You have more menu options to go through. So let's go through those again by hitting the gear button. Right now we're in recovery speed. Let's just kind of go back to the beginning. Start out with our noise cancel. I can tell you up front that there's nothing new or different with noise cancel on both machines. Ground balance. Ground balance functionality is the same on both machines. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure. Volume adjust. The volume adjust, if you hold in your button, it puts you into another menu if you hold in your gear button. Alright, so now we're into this volume adjust submenu. Now you'll notice on the 600, it all kind of looks the same as the 800, but let me show you something. To move sectors on the 800, you hit the accept reject button. So you can cycle through each of these sectors and you can adjust the volume if you want. So like sector 1 is from -9 to I believe 0, and the volume level is 12, so it's a lower volume. But everything else is set to 25. And you can adjust each of those sectors. So, you know, 1 through whatever it is, 9 or whatever, is 25. The same goes for the next and the next and the next, all the way up to, you know, the last setting is 25. So, but if you check out the 600, if you hit the accept reject button, nothing happens. You don't have that feature. You can only change the volume level of sector 1. You can still lower it, raise it. It's up to you, but by default, you only have one sector you can adjust. So that's one of the little, you know, special perks you get with the 800 that you don't get with the 600. So just keep that in mind. Threshold level. Is there anything under the threshold level by holding in the settings key button? Nope. Is there anything on the 800? Nope. Oh, wait, there is. So you notice on the Equinox 800, you have a threshold, another threshold option. If you hold down the gear button, it'll put you in another menu. This is your threshold pitch. You do not have this feature on the Equinox 600. No matter how hard you try, it's not there. But basically on the 800, you can raise the pitch of your threshold. I think it goes up to 25, yeah. So that's your pitch adjustment. By default, it's 4, and I typically don't use it. So that's the difference between the 6 and 800. Now let's go into the next menu option, target tone. And let's hold down the gear button again to get in the next menu system. Now you have what appears to be 5 different sectors of tones you can change. You can change them, like for instance, each one of these now in your first sector is 1. You can change by going up and down, plus, minus, to change that number, which will affect the sound of that target range. Now, if you notice, if I wanted to go to the next sector, I hit the accept reject. On the 600, I don't have that option. But the 800, I do. I can go through each one of these and change, effectively, really configure my machine the way I want it. You don't have that functionality in the 600. That's the difference. All right, the next one's going to be going over to accept reject to see if there's any differences there. If you hold down the gear button again, you do go into a secondary menu. From what I understand, and I don't use this setting, so on the 800, I can go through each of the sectors, bands, or whatever they call them, and you can only change band 1, 2, 3, and 4. You don't have access to 5. On the Equinox 600, you can only do band 1. And basically, this is, from what I've been told, this changes the width of the tone breaks, so you can make them come in a little wider or shorter depending on how you want to set it up. But again, I don't use this much, so I'm not sure what significance this could have. But anyway, that is under the accept reject advanced menu. All right, guys, let's take a look at the recovery speed advanced menu. Let's go ahead and hold in your gear button. Should bring you to your FE menu. This is going to be your iron bias menu. Now, under the 600, you have options from 0 all the way up to 3. And on the 800, you have all the way down to 0, all the way up to, I believe it's 9, yes. Now, this is the same factor of 2 for the iron bias. For instance, if you're in 1, you're actually in 2 for the Equinox 800. If you're in 2, you're actually going to be in 4. And if you're in 3, you're going to be at 6 on the 800. So there's the difference. Now there's another option. There's a third option for iron bias that they added. If you hit the accept reject, it goes into F2 mode. And this has another feature of more iron bias. You can go up to 3 on the 600, and you can go up to 9 on the 800. Same thing applies, factor 2. All right, guys, there you have it. There is the comparison between the two Equinoxes, the 800 and 600. As you can see, the 600 is packed plenty full of capability. So if it's something you're considering, I would say, definitely take a look at the 600. If you're looking for a little bit more configuration options and things like that, the 800 is probably your better bet. Don't let the wireless feature, fool you. You can still use wireless headphones on the 600. Just as long as you have low latency Bluetooth headphones, they should sync up just fine with that machine. So again, the 600 and 800, they're really, really powerful machines. I'm really a big fan of the 800. I love the configuration options in it. Love the wireless. But if the 600 is for you, hey, don't shy away from it. It's a great machine too, and it's very, very, very powerful and will do the job for you. Got to give a big thanks to our friends over at Fort Bedford Metal Detectors for lending us the 600 today to use to do the compare and contrast. I really depend on those guys for a lot of stuff and helping me keep going in this hobby. So I hope you guys give them a good consideration and give them their business when it comes to picking up one of these Equinoxes, the 600 or the 800, or any other metal detector, accessory, coil, whatever you need, they got it. So give Keith a call. His information is popping up on the screen right now, and check him out. I really appreciate it. That's it for me today. If you liked the video, give me a like. If you didn't like something about it, tell me why, or leave me a comment. All right, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel so anytime I upload something new, you guys will be informed and you'll get that notification. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again in another Mental Metal Video. See you!